And once again, another nail in the Hero Omnibus Edition video has been struck into the coffin. Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and welcome to my first reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person that you come to see get reacted to things. The first reveals from the next core set after Rage of the Abyss, Supreme Darkness, have been revealed, and there were some people out there who were speculating that evil heroes might be the ones receiving support. After all, the Supreme King should be in Supreme Darkness, and as it turns out, they were right! Let's go ahead and check to see what kind of new stuff the evil heroes have at their disposal, as well as what evil heroes specifically can do, because I've always felt that the theme has had a bit of an identity crisis. Not only is it part of the gigantic soup that is hero decks nowadays, very few of their cards actually make the cut, with only really a Dusted Gold, Dark Calling, and the latest fusion. It's like Malicious Bane, I think, or Edge, whichever one of the Maliciouses that isn't the Destiny one. Those are all kind of there sometimes, but they've all arguably been power creeped. The new Neos Wingman is probably a better version of Malicious Bane in every way, because you can do it at quick effect speed, and it gets way bigger way quicker. Maybe, with the help of modern design, we can see them rise to the occasion. Let's start by taking a look at Evil Hero Toxic Bubble. Bubble Man! Look, my favorite part about the evil heroes is whenever they do the evil universe versions of them. They started doing weird stuff with, like, Infernal Prodigy and Gainer, when they really should have always just been evil elemental heroes. We have a level 4 Water Fiend monster, 800 attack, 1200 defense. You can only special summon this card with its first effect once per turn, and you can only use the second effect once per turn. First effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if summoned this way, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except hero monsters. We're incorporating that old yarn again into this theme. Not again in this one particularly, but we are seeing monsters more and more that can just special summon themselves from the hand as long as you apply some kind of restriction to it. That way you can get them onto the field as soon as possible without having to actually set up and commit to it first. You just trade off having some kind of restriction. If this card is special summoned, and you control a fusion monster that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion, you can draw 2 cards. A playoff of Bubble Man's effect, where you can draw 2 cards if you summon it, if you have no other cards on your field or in your hand, as kind of a way to get back into the game. Now, it rewards you for getting out your evil heroes, which are the ones that must be summoned by Dark Fusion. Apparently this is a evil version of Neo Bubble Man. Okay. Alright, next up is Evil Hero Doom Prison. Who the heck is Doom Prison? Does this have an explanation? It's Prisma. Okay. Alright, that's cute. Level 4 Light Rock Effect monster. Okay, so that's very funny, because the evil heroes, in contrast, not contrast hero, but in general in contrast to the rest of the hero lineup, the evils are fiends, whereas everything else is a warrior. This one is a rock, but that's probably because it's meant to be used with the Dark Gaia that needs a fiend and a rock monster as material. So it's off-key for what it's supposed to be, but it's the right type to blend better with cards that already exist, so I'll give it a pass. You can only special summon this card with its first effect once per turn, and you can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. If you control a fusion monster that must be fusion summoned, or must be special summoned with Dark Fusion, you can special summon this card from your hand. Kind of like the evil Bubble Man, Toxic Bubble, I should say. But you actually have to commit the fusion first. Second effect, you can send a hero monster from your deck to the graveyard. If you fusion summon a hero monster this turn, this face-up card can be used as a substitute for any one fusion material whose name is mentioned on it, but the other material must be correct. So it doesn't take on the name like Prisma does, and it's not as universally splashable in named fusion material decks like Prisma was. But it makes it so you don't have to actually run the heroes specifically listed on there, right? So it just says that it can substitute for fusion material, but it doesn't say it becomes the name of what is sent. Which I think is really, really cool, because now you can make stuff you would never even dream of making, because you wouldn't want to put a random card you wouldn't otherwise play into your deck. And because you can send any hero, it's another way to send Shadow Mist, or Malicious, or whatever you want, because it sends any hero. This card is absolutely bonkers, and the fact that it's a rock, I'm pretty sure this is going to give us some wacky tech stuff. Just you wait. Okay. Evil Hero Infernal Rider. This card references Picador Archfiend, which showed up in O'Brien's Nightmare Dreams of Supreme King Judai as the King's Steed. Hell yeah. Level 6 Wind Fiend monster, 2100 attack, 800 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Dark Fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand, so that gets that into rotation. You can banish this card and 4 other monsters from your graveyard. Set a Super Polymerization from your deck. Also, until the end of your opponent's turn, you cannot special summon except hero monsters, but you can fusion summon fusion monsters that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion with effects other than it. Okay, so I'm positive that is some kind of reference to something. Insofar as the banish itself and 4 other monsters from your graveyard. Setting the polymerization makes, the super polymerization makes sense because that was part of the whole arc at the time, getting super polymerization. We've seen a lot of support with it with Yubel recently because they used it, and Judai also used it, Supreme King, Jaden, whatever name you want to use for any of those. Maybe it references the sacrifices that were made to make super polymerization itself and 4 other monsters. I think that's the right number. And much like the Evil Hero field spell that we got during one of the previous Duelist packs, this does let you make our Evil Heroes without having to use Dark Fusion, which is one of the big stumbling blocks when using Evil Hero fusion monsters. So that's pretty cool. I can dig that. Evil Hero Neos Lord. This card's so cool. Oh my god. Okay, level 10 Dark Fiend fusion effect monster, 2500 attack and defense. Materials are a elemental hero Neos, or a fusion monster that mentions it, and an effect monster on the field. So guess what super polymerization is going to help you with. Must be special summoned with the Dark Fusion. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, or if a monster or monsters are sent to your opponent's graveyard while this monster is on the field, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of it. It does not have a turn-off period, so you just steal it when you summon it or when a card is sent to a graveyard. And it can't be destroyed by a battler card effect, so, you know, don't use destruction removal. Granted, that is a piece of protection that is getting less and less relevant as the days go on, but it's still nice to have on our big boss monster. Evil Hero Inferno Wing Infernal Backlash. Ooh, another signature attack card. Requires a Avion or Burstinatrix and a hero monster. Now, because this specifically mentions one or the other, this does mean that Prison can be used to make this. Very fantastic. But we'll see if the effect follows through with that. Must be special summoned with Dark Fusion. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. If this card is special summoned, first effect, you can add a Dark Fusion or a card that mentions it from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except a fusion monster. And if your hero monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict 2100 damage to them. So it's kind of like giving the bonus burn damage to any of your monsters, so that's pretty sick. And it's got that kind of fusion monster that recycles the card used to make it so you can extend further. I dig. Evil Hero Dark Knight, level 8 Earth Fiend Fusion, 1600 attack, 0 defense. Must be special summoned with a Dark Fusion, requires a Fiend and a Warrior monster. That is a pretty good spread of types if you're looking to use something called Super Polymerization. Monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to the total original attack of the fusion materials used for this card's summon, can make a second attack during each battle phase, and if this face-up special summoned card you control leaves the field by your opponent, you can target a Fiend or Warrior in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. So this is like the inverse of Dark Gaia, which probably you could pick up on because of the fact that it uses a Fiend and a Warrior instead of a Fiend and a Rock. It also does stuff with attack power, but this one reduces all of their attack as opposed to boosting this monster's attack, which is deceptively very powerful. You might think you would want it the other way around so you can make it a gigantic force of nature, but heroes actually have a ton of ways to boost their attack power by a ridiculous amount. There's a... there's the Link 3, I think it's Dread Decimator. That one gives a lot of attack power. Sunriser does, the Neos Flare Wingman does. And then you have other attack reducers like Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, the hidden effect on there. And because it's a double attacker, this is representing 3200 damage by itself without any other boosts. And what, if your 2 fusion materials have like 1000 attack each, this thing is running over most anything in battle. This is pretty bonkers, and it has a floating effect on top of it. I dig this very much. Dark Contact, not Dark Contract. Dark Contact. Normal spell card, activate one of the following effects, but you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. Oh, so you can activate multiple copies of this once per turn. You can activate multiple copies of this in a single turn. You just can't use the same effect. I do like when modal spells have that. It can fusion summon a fusion monster that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion from your extra deck by shuffling its material from the field, grave, and or banishment into the deck. This is treated as a fusion summon with Dark Fusion, so more copies of that card, which I always love. And it's basically not a miracle fusion because it doesn't banish the material, but it's like a parallel world fusion to recycle all those materials. Or you can add a Supreme King's Castle or regular Dark Fusion from your deck to your hand. Now, there is something to be said for regular Dark Fusion, right? Because it provides the fusion monster that you make with it targeting protection for the turn. So technically, it's not like you've power crept Dark Fusion, but it is the worst way to summon any of the cards. There's just better things you could be doing if you build better cards, like this one. I super enjoy this one, and it makes it very flexible, right? If you've shoved a bunch of material into the graveyard, you can now just put that into your deck to make your evil hero. Outrageous. Evil Assault, normal spell card, discard a card, or rather you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, so we can use both. Activate this to discard a card. You cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except hero monsters. Also take one level 4 or lower evil hero monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. If this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to add a Dark Fusion from your grave to your hand. Oh, well then, never mind. You will not be using this during the same turn that you activate it because of its own stipulation. Still, it does put a Dark Fusion into your hand, though. An important thing to note here is that none of the substitutes for Dark Fusion say that they're treated as Dark Fusion in any other zone. So cards like this will require you to be playing the original OG, no substitutes Dark Fusion to make use of this effect. Will this be powerful enough to see play with the assistance of these backup cards? I'm sure at least a single copy will make its way into the decks if the evil hero cards are worth playing, and some of them I think they are. Now, the level 4 or lower evil heroes, we know that Prison is pretty good. I'm not sure how many other ones are really, really good to get our hands on with Evil Assault, so... Okay, let's go with Dark Supremacy. This is the last one. This is a shot of the Neos Evil King card. That design is so wild. Target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Dark Fusion and spell cards that mention it in your graveyard. Negate their effects until the end of the turn. Wow, actual honest-to-goodness negation, and it's face-up cards, not monsters, so we can even hit spells and traps with this. Second effect, if this card is in your graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it, then target up to 5 hero monsters in your graveyard and or banishment and shuffle them into the deck. Hey, that's just generally good. Get your heroes back into rotation, get your Malicious Banes all set up, get anything that you banish with Vion back into the deck. Just a nice little bonus. I think something I also neglected to bring up, oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter because at first I was like, oh, you can use Favorite Contact to summon the Neos Lord because it is a fusion monster that has Neos' material, but then I remembered, no, actually, because this must be summoned by Dark Fusion. So if we get one of the other effects that allows us to use non-Dark Fusion cards, we could use Favorite Contact. But in general, it's just this, and even though it requires Neos to be run, we don't necessarily have to run Neos because of Doom Prison. So that's something to keep in mind. Where do I stand on this, though? Because here's the thing with heroes. We keep getting support for them. Over and over and over again do we keep getting support for heroes. And as we get more of it, it's really just ways to iterate on blowing up your opponent's cards, right? Like Sunrise gave us Miracle Fusion and a way to blow up cards. The Neos Spark Wingman, that gave us a way to blow up cards. Malicious Bane did that. Phoenix Enforcer did that. All of these waves of support give us ways to blow up cards. This time around, that doesn't seem to be the case. It utilizes more super polymerization support in the form of Infernal Rider. It gives us Neos Lord as a way to steal monsters, which I think is a pretty great thing to have in any deck. Dark Knight helps you push for damage, but everything in Heroes helps you push for damage. I don't even think... Like, I have positive things to say about this, but do I think that we would run it? I don't know. Maybe Dark Contact we'll see play as a way to get access to some evil heroes that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to play because it was too difficult to actually play them. But I don't know. I'm coming down on the side of skepticism on these ones. I'm not exactly blown away by all of these when I see them. Dark Supremacy is something that heroes have needed for a long time, but because it relies on Dark Fusion and spell cards that are associated with it to function, it's not like it works with the broader hero pool in general. You have to be playing a pretty dedicated evil hero package to make this work, unless whatever lines of play that facilitate this are like, okay, I play one card and I've shuffled through 8 different Dark Fusion cards to make it without having to invest in anything else. If that's the case, Dark Supremacy becomes very good, but I don't believe that's the case with the cards that we're seeing right here. The turn delay on the graveyard effects kind of blows. Of course, you don't want the cards being too powerful, so I'm not angry at it, but I still wish they would have pushed it more. I don't know. I want to be excited for hero support. Hero cards are cool, but I look at this and I say, yeah, it's another wave of hero support. What are you doing for us now? What are you accomplishing for the theme that we don't already have access to? A part of me thinks that this is just more bloat on a strategy that has seen repeated legacy support injections over the years and has given it brief stints of playability in one way or another. Famously, Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer ran a whole format. It booted Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, arguably the poster child for overpowered fusion monsters, out of contention, and then it got power crept because engines became so good that you didn't need to have a random spell card that locked you out of the rest of your strategy for a free pop every turn. Yeah, I don't know. That being said, maybe I'm missing something here. Once again, I am relying on all of you to give me a perspective here that I haven't seen. What do these cards enable that I am unaware of that puts heroes once again into the spotlight? Or, failing that, why these fall into the same pitfalls as previous hero support insofar as them just kind of treading water and not doing anything new? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And I guess click on the thing at the end of the video where I'm going to link the Omnibus video. If you want to see 3 almost hours of hero cards explained that was made obsolete 2 years ago, then feel free. I was a very big fan of it. It was a very big collaboration with a lot of people that I was very happy to have worked with. Yeah, that's about everything. Let me know all of your thoughts about these down below, and as always, I will see you next time the supreme darkness falls upon us. Bye-bye.
Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the wonderful people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. And speaking of those lovely patrons, I'd like to give them a thanks right now. This month's Quasar Commander is Upstairs Media, Nebula Navigators are Third Dynasty, 50 Gigabits, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Owexatowe Hime, Anansi Dragon, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Emily Chan, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Gloomba 331, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Harebear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Leo 458, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Megacombi, Millennia Asta, Mern, Nathan Vig, Natiel Lee Alexander, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sammy Haim, Serenity Towns, Skybuster Leo, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ariel Kersey, Baron von Titty Sprinkles, Beelzephyr, Beluga Master, Blitzwolf, Borger with a Shotgun, Chaz Ghost, Childish Lamar, Dr. Reaper R.I.P., Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heat the True Draco Slayer, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Kevon Public, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Marluxia's a Girl, Matt Simmons, McSpoofy, Michael Shimabukuro, Night Trummo, Nyx, Obsidian, Shizuka Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, Taylor Seymour, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Pokemon 52, Tiger X2476, Visor KG, Zeldreka and Zalus, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you liked what you saw and want to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the links to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.